With the discovery of a car off of a cliff, the mystery of a missing Indio man may be solved.
And I'm CBS 2's Kai Goldberg outside of the home where that Indio man lived. Inside of the home, his parents are awaiting word to see if it is the body of their son. I'll have all the details coming up in a live report.
Good evening, I'm Tricia O'Shea. We have team coverage of that story, plus an update tonight on the possible cancer cluster at a local middle school.
Temperatures across the valley are warming up. I'm CBS 2's Patrick Evans. I've got your complete local forecast coming up. The CBS 2 News at 5 starts now.
Live from the CBS 2 studios with your stories on your station. It's CBS 2 News at 5.
Leading the news tonight, authorities have stumbled upon a car that plunged off the side of Highway 74, and the remains inside that car are believed to be that of Brian Milward, an Indio man who has been missing for nearly a year. We have team coverage on this story tonight. CBS 2's Kai Goldberg is live outside the Milwards' home where they are awaiting confirmation. We go first now to CBS 2's Mindy Thomas, who spent the day at the scene where the remains were found. She joins us now live from the newsroom with the latest. Mindy?
Trish, this month marks the one-year anniversary when Brian Milward went missing, and authorities say they found his gold Chrysler, his wallet, and it's believed that he was inside of the car at the time of the accident when it went over the edge of Highway 74.
The unsolved mystery of Brian Lewis Milward may have come to a close. Milward went missing June 14th of last year, and investigators discovered his car on Tuesday afternoon. A rescue chopper flying over the San Bernardino National Forest in this area, overlooking Hemet, happened to be looking for another missing person.
With this car being overgrown with brush, it was just no way anybody saw it, obviously, until this right time, and could have been by a reflection by the helicopter.
It's unconfirmed at this time from the coroner who arrived on scene if the human skeletal remains are Milward's. However, the license plates and identification found inside of the wallet in the car are that of Brian's.
Authorities say that the car went off of this cliff and landed about 75 yards down into this rugged terrain. And when it landed, it flipped a couple of times, burying it even deeper into that terrain.
Terrain off a road that at some point is completely open off this dangerous road.
This is all mountain driving, and there's cliffs on just about every corner that you go around. Most of them have guardrails attached to them, but on some of the areas they don't.
While it is a dangerous roadway at some locations, it is still not confirmed that the car was speeding when it went over the edge. CBS 2 will, of course, be following this investigation. Live in the newsroom with your stories on your station, Mindy Thomas, CBS 2 News.
All right, Mindy, thank you so much.
It may seem kind of cold, but the last couple of weeks they've been finding remains of people. And when we were told it wasn't him, there was disappointment.
CBS 2 has complete team coverage. Your news at 6 starts right now.
Live from the CBS 2 studios with your stories on your station. It's CBS 2 News at 6.
I want to start off by getting you the very latest on this dramatic unfolding story tonight. Kai Goldberg is live in Indio outside Brian Milward's parents' home. CBS 2's Mindy Thomas, though, spent the day at the scene where all this unfolded. We begin tonight with Mindy.
It's a mystery that could now be solved for Brian's relatives. In June of last year, Milward went missing. Now it looks like they may have closure just before the one-year anniversary of his disappearance.
A sheriff's helicopter flying over Mountain Center on Tuesday afternoon spotted a vehicle, and the gold Chrysler turned out to be that of Brian Milward's. But the reason for the car going over the edge is still not known.
Normally speed is the cause of most collisions here on the mountain, but I cannot speculate what the reason was for this collision.
Milward's identification was found in his wallet inside the car, but authorities have not officially identified the human skeletal remains. However, officials say this highway has proven dangerous for many people, even though there are reflectors and guardrails serving as protectors.
Right here in Mountain Center, you're just almost right in the middle from, the Idlewild area to Hemet, from Palm Springs, and the road is very well traveled.
But in the area where Milward's car went off the road, there was no sign of skid marks, no sign of broken brush, and there was no sign of a guardrail.
Authorities say that the car went off of this cliff and landed about 75 yards down into this rugged terrain. And when it landed, it flipped a couple of times, burying it even deeper into that terrain.
Actually, since it's been a year, the brush has been overgrown. It's hard to see exactly, where he left the roadway from.
Brian would be 21 years old this year, but of course the body was found in the car that has not been yet positively ID'd. And live in the newsroom with your stories on your station, Mindy Thomas, CBS 2 News.
All right, Mindy, thank you so much. And the indications are that Milward was in the car that crashed, and no one is more on edge tonight than Brian's own parents.
And that's where we pick up our team coverage. CBS 2's Kai Goldberg sat down with Peter and Susie Milward this morning. He joins us now live outside their home with that story. Kai?
Well, good evening, Trish, Eric. In an amazing turn of events, police answered a 911 call yesterday on Highway 74 near the mountain center. They found a car that had gone off the edge of the cliff, but there was another car there which had human remains in it, remains that could be those of Brian Milward's. And I'm here in front of his parents' house, who've obviously had a terrible year. Actually, most of that year has been extremely unbearable.
It's a living hell. It really is. The holidays, the first ones, he disappeared the day before, or we last saw him the day before Father's Day. We didn't know if he chose to leave home. Was he sending a message to us?
Authorities showed up on the Milward's doorstep late last night to give them the news that they found their son Brian's car, news that may finally bring them some peace.
It's the closure that we have been praying for. It is. It may seem kind of cold, but the last couple of weeks they've been finding remains of people. And when we were told it wasn't him, there was disappointment.
It's been a very frustrating year for both parents, especially for Brian's dad, Peter, knowing that his firstborn son was out there somewhere and no one could find him.
You just don't go and disappear. You just don't go off the face of the earth. And the helicopter found it.
Authorities told the Milwards that the helicopter found the remains of those that may be Brian Milward's late yesterday after a strange turn of events.
Actually, this was a new accident that they thought had occurred yesterday. Yeah, somebody just called 911 and said, I think a car just went off the hill. So they went up there to go look for that car. And I don't even know if they found anything, but in that search, being up there in the helicopter, that's when they found Brian's car.
Susie and Peter are being told that there's always a chance that the remains could be those of someone else, but all the evidence points to a sense of finality for the Milwards.
They found a pair of pants and a wallet, and the wallet did contain his credit card, his ATM cards, so it's like 99% sure that it's him.
Now the Milwards are inside that house tonight awaiting word from the coroner's office as to whether or not those are the remains of Brian. Live in Indio with your stories on your station, Kai Goldberg, CBS 2 News.
All right, Kai, thank you so much.
And another body was found today, Now, Panwar lived in La Quinta for the last 7 years. He owned a 7-Eleven store in Indio. Anyone with any information about this murder need to call the sheriff's department.
Family and friends of an Indio man found dead after a year of being missing celebrated his life tonight. Brian Milward's celebration of life service was held tonight at the People of Harvest Church in Indio. Milward's remains were found in his car off of Highway 74 last week. He had been missing for nearly a year. One of Brian's best friends says he will miss Brian's amazing sense of humor.
Brian was probably like the funniest person I knew. He'd make a joke about anything and just make everybody laugh, and that's the one thing I always remember about Brian.
His family has said that the discovery of Brian's body was a relief and brought closure to a huge question that had laid heavy on them since last June.
Violent rape, carjacking.
A family and friends of a local man whose crashed car and remains were found a year after he went missing said their goodbyes today. CBS 2's Kai Goldberg attended Brian Milward's funeral today. He joins us now with that story. Kai?
Well, Trish, Brian Milward's long journey home finally ended today. And for Brian's family, it was a morning of joy and comfort that they have been waiting for. It was a quiet, crystal clear morning in Indio as the Milward family Brian's mom, Susie, his father, Peter, and his brothers gathered to lay Brian's remains to rest.
And I'm just so happy that he has a final resting place and that we had our questions answered as far as, what had happened to him.
It was almost 1 year ago when Brian went missing, and it was just last week when investigators found his car about 75 feet off of Highway 74, mangled in a deep ravine. Well over 100 friends and well-wishers lined up to pay their respects to the family. It's a day that has been long overdue.
Brian touched so many hearts, and he was just such a great kid. He was like this big, huge teddy bear.
The Milward family was finally able to put their son Brian to rest here at the Coachella Valley Cemetery, and especially here under a tree where Brian's mom can come to speak to her son.
Now I can come and talk to him and bring him flowers on his birthday and holidays, and that was what I wanted. I'm not saying goodbye to him. I'm just saying, you know what, I'll see you later. I'll see you later.
Indeed, they're just a family that is finally now at peace. Live in the newsroom with your stories on your station, Kai Goldberg, CBS 2 News. Trish?
Kai, do we know why Brian was headed up Highway 74 that day?
Yeah, absolutely we do. He was going to see a friend up there and actually join us at 6 o'clock. I'll actually talk with that friend. He'll tell us the exact reason that Brian was going up there that evening and why he never showed up. Trish?
All right, Kai, thank you. Well, meanwhile, a man died on the freeway.
With your stories on your station. It's CBS 2 News at 6.
Leading our news tonight, the remains of Brian Milward were laid to rest in Coachella. CBS 2's Kai Goldberg was at the funeral today and joins us live from the newsroom with more on what happened today. Kai?
Well, good evening, Trish here. Brian Milward had been missing for almost 1 year now. His remains were found last week, and today the Milward family was finally able to put their son Brian to rest. Brian Milward's long journey home finally ended Tuesday, and for Brian's family, it was the morning of joy and comfort they have been waiting for. Friends and well-wishers lined up to pay their respects to the family. Many of Brian's friends were also there, including Robert Dumas. Brian was headed to Robert's home in Idlewild. He never made it.
Yeah, his mom called me and told me that he was missing, and he was supposed to come up to my house.
Unfortunately, Robert never knew the whereabouts of his friend.
He never gave me a phone call or anything, so I must not have been home when he came. And I know he wasn't too familiar with the area, finding my house, so I don't know if he had made it.
And it was just last week when investigators found his car about 75 feet off of Highway 74, mangled in a deep ravine. The Milward family was finally able to put their son Brian to rest here at the Coachella Valley Cemetery, and especially here under a tree where Brian's mom can come to speak to her son.
Now I can come and talk to him and bring him flowers on his birthday and holidays, and that was what I wanted. And I'm just so happy that he has a final resting place and that we had our questions answered as far as, what had happened to him.
And lastly, the Milward family wanted to express their thanks to all of those who sent their good wishes and support over the past year. Live in the newsroom with your stories on your station, Kai Goldberg, CBS 2 News.
All right.